Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Rimini 2016. The second time we're for the YCS in Rimini, beautiful Italy. I'm your host for the weekend, Oliver Gurman, and I'm joined here by Luke Withington.
Hi, Ollie.
Good job so far.
Yeah, we're
I
going
think we
good.
had some exciting two matches this morning. Second one was a little bit more one-sided than the first one,
Yeah,
but overall I think some great dueling going on.
yeah, we're seeing some great play at the moment.
And I think we're going to see that in this round as well.
Yeah.
We're going with the leader of the pack. He's currently number one in the standings, although that doesn't mean that much after just 2 rounds of competition, of course.
Yeah,
It's going to be 7 rounds today, in case you didn't know. 894 players. So 7 rounds today, 3 more rounds tomorrow before we perform our cut to the top 32 players. All right. And the leader of the pack, I mentioned, is Jacob Mallender, or he goes by Jake.
yeah,
I think he's going to be fine with both of those. From the
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah, he
Representing.
yeah. He prefers Jake.
He prefers Jake. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm happy to oblige.
Yeah, I know Jake. I know Jake quite well. I know a lot of the. I like to think I know all the UK players, but that's not the case. I know quite a lot of the UK players.
Yeah.
And yeah, always when they're from around my hometown, I always go back to my Yorkshire ways, and I think, oh yeah, representing the
Representing,
Yorkshire
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
All right. He brought Kozmo to the table.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Mhm.
And his opponent is also no stranger to tough competition. Merlin Schumacher from Germany won a YCS in America. One of the few Europeans who did so.
Yeah.
Just a handful of them. And this weekend he's playing Metalfoes without Yang Xing.
Yeah, he's playing kind of more traditional, but at the same time, it's not traditional because he's not just playing Metalfoes. He's playing like the Cliff Art engine. He's playing Gofu. He's playing Apex Avian as well.
And Ryan saw him perform
Various things.
a magic move, basically, in the last round, because he's playing a Jogen, the Spiritualist, in his side deck, and
Yeah.
he sided that in for game 2 or game 3.
Yeah, we've not seen that since 2013 in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
When we had Spellbook of Judgment being able to summon Jogen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Then it was a thing, or
a long time ago.
bit of a thing.
Yeah.
And Ryan mentioned it's like a combo, basically. It can,
Yeah.
but it's hard to assemble, I guess.
Not so much. If you can pendulum summon, you can pendulum summon Jogen.
That's the thing.
The idea is that you put the likes of Apex Avian on the field, and be able to say, well, here's my Avian. You can't special summon either, and I can make negations.
It's like a Fantasy's Emptiness on
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah, basically.
Not quite on steroids. It's not
No.
that strong.
It's a very weak monster.
Yeah, I think like
Jogen-
300 attack or something.
Yeah, I think 300 attack, 1300 defense or something. Very
Something like-
low.
yeah,
very
very low.
low.
Mhm.
It can be destroyed by
There are ways to
Wild
get rid of
Heart
it.
is the way that I remember it. Yeah.
All right. So interesting that we neither see Metalfoes with Yang Xing, nor do we see Kozmo together with Fire King. Both of these players opted for the purer version of these
Yeah.
decks.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that choice?
Yeah, I think like Jake's not even playing. He's not even playing Cards of Demise. I guess he's just gone with the regular version with plenty of Call of the Haunteds, and yeah, he's just going to play it that way instead.
It's even more surprising a couple of players that they would have expected to see a hit of Card of Demise, so they could have like a farewell this weekend for the last opportunity to play
No
those
need.
decks, and he's like, no, I don't even need it.
No need to say goodbye to Cards of Demise just yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is basically it for a quick preview of the things to come. With that, let's take a look at the table where these two guys are already sitting down. And here we are. You see them super relaxed. Jake on the left and Merlin on the right. Some friendly banter, of course.
Yeah,
These guys have seen each other before.
Yet another sporting of the Dark Magician shirt.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. Merlin likes that. I see him in that almost every time, actually.
Yeah, I think he's
You
got a
know.
couple of them at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming to a Yu-Gi-Oh event, you might as well bring your Dark Magician shirt, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to tackle the whole thing. All right. So Jake on the left, Merlin on the right. We have no idea who won the die roll, but that's not too much of a problem. I'm now surprised to see Clifford Scout, but those two Clifford cows do not a Clifford deck make, is what a Shakespeare said in one of his works, as far as I remember correctly. So it's still a Metalfoes deck. It's not a Clifford Metalfoes because of those 2 cards. But interesting splash, isn't it? The Scout, Clifford Scout.
Yeah, I mean it's just kind of a big completion of the scales straight out, which is obviously really important for this deck. I'm just I'm reading a message from Matt here. Many people know Matt, who we talked quite a lot about the semi-limiting of Maxx C, and we'll get a little bit back to that whenever we see Maxx C being played.
All right.
So, some nice insights into.
Speaking of
exactly
the devil, there we go. 2 copies in Jake's opening hand.
Yeah. So this might actually just show us the exact reasoning behind Maxx C.
There is, of course, another big card of the weekend, the Pot of Desires.
Yeah. Do you desire 2 cards? Yes, you do.
Yeah, and half the time the question is, do you desire 2 cards? And at the same time, do you mind getting rid of 10 of them?
Yeah.
He's like the less popular brother of Pot of Greed. I think at the family reunion of those pots, nobody wants to sit next to him. But then again, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's giving you a little bit of an advantage. There we see the scales assembled for Merlin. In a way, he's still at it, getting rid of one of them.
Yeah, so
the Metalfoes that allow you to destroy one face up.
Yeah, so he can just outright go and search for another Metalfoes spell and trap now.
Because this effect is so easy to combine with another archetype, I think there are a couple of archetypes that would work well together with Metalfoes.
Yeah, I mean,
not just Yang Xing and to some degrees the Cliffords.
So just this is one example. I mean, a lot of the pendulum decks we've seen kind of just you take all of the best pendulum cards from all the different archetypes and dump them all in one deck and it just works. This is kind of what he's doing here, but with the Metalfoes cards. So he's using the Metalfoes as a core to this deck, and then adding on various numbers of the regular cards that you would see. In pendulum decks.
Is that going to change in the future when there are going to be more Metalfoes cards out, or do you think it's going to be the same for the most part?
No, I think it's going to change. When the way that it generally works is, so we saw it last year with the Kozmo deck from Peter Gross.
First time that Kozmo.
Yeah, so Kozmo only had 4 cards, but still they were 4 very powerful cards. And when an archetype like that comes out, if you manage to fit that engine as a core into a deck, and then kind of supplement it with big lineup of trap cards or some other engine that it works well with, like artifacts were used like that for some time.
Right.
You just kind of put artifacts in any old deck, and it helped.
Indeed, it did. All right, so the opening of Merlin is still underway.
This is actually the perfect time to talk about this.
Yeah, let's go for it then.
Yeah, so me and Matt spoke about Maxx C quite a lot, and so it's a really important hit on the list now, and I don't want to do Matt no justice by I'll let him explain in the chat if I explain anything too wrong. But the idea here is so you can see that. Obviously Merlin only wanted to do 1 big pendulum summon, but if you have 2 Maxx Cs in hand against a big special summon combo deck, and you're able to play 1, and then the person who's playing the combo deck, if they're mid combo, so something like Burning Abyss, for example, if you're mid combo in Burning Abyss and you need to keep on going to finish your plays,
you're making the Maxx C challenge.
Yeah, exactly, the Maxx C challenge that we all talk about. It's kind of, we see that as reasonably fair because it keeps that deck in check for not special summoning too much.
Right.
However, having double Maxx C, for example...
There's a Vanity's Emptiness. Sorry, I have to cut you off right there. That immediately brings Jake's turn to a halt. Cannot continue.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this like a year ago when Vanity's Emptiness was at the height of its power. It's super popular at the time. You assemble your field, you put your heavy hitters out there, and then you flip the card and your opponent is denied the same thing. Yeah. Basically like the Jogen we talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Some big damage. No, perfectly fine. So Emptiness is another example of this kind of thing where if you're able to establish a board and then have this card, so Emptiness being at 1 is a great example. So Maxx C was at 3. If you're able to establish a huge board and then just stop your opponent from playing by just playing Maxx C and basically saying you're either going to give me loads of cards and I'm going to win next turn,
Right.
or you don't play your combo and I still have enough cards to be able to beat you because you didn't play your combo.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't really too good for the game as far as we were concerned.
Right.
It was much.
Jake actually said a Maxx C.
Yeah, I think
so he's in a desperate position.
Yeah, he's in a very desperate position. Yeah, I think it looks like Merlin's gonna take this one just because Jacob's on very little life points. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can continue talking about the Maxx C as we're going through the
first
side
game
decking.
won by Vanity's Emptiness.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
All right.
Assessment. So, and the thing was, we were, just bringing it down to semi-limited rather than bringing it straight down to limited or something. Going
it's
forwards,
less of a chance that.
Yeah, going forwards into the next format, we're going to be looking at it very closely, and if these really crazy special summon combo decks, so like let's say the Metalfoes Yangzing deck we saw earlier, that special summoned maybe 15 times or something in the first turn.
Right.
If we see that being more prominent because people are struggling without being able to Maxx C it, not having that consistency of having a first turn answer to that deck, then Maxx C is maybe going to get reevaluated and back up to 3.
Right.
But
if it becomes vital to stand a chance against certain decks, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, we can watch live how Merlin is side decking here because he's
leaning in.
Yeah, he's leaning in. That's one way to put it. I was just missing the beginning, to be honest. But
yeah, we saw the Jogen, so there's Jogen up at the top there.
Yeah, Kaiku just went out again. Didn't go in. There's another Jogen that he apparently leaves in, if I'm not mistaken. So now it's time for a count. He's basically smoke screening. That is the special technique of siding all 15 cards in. Then you're shuffling your deck sometimes. He didn't need to. And then you're going over it and siding out 15 cards. So for your opponent, there's no way to tell how many cards have actually been exchanged from the main deck with the side deck.
Yeah.
It's a very good technique. I would encourage you guys to learn it. Because sometimes when you're like openly showing your opponent, I'm going to side 2 cards, they will know for a fact, okay, there's not much change happening.
Yeah.
And that's giving them a big advantage.
Yeah. Smoke screening in where I'm from is known as putting all of the cards in and then taking them all out.
Don't you think that smoke screening is a better way to? Because normally the English always like to use one word for like a long process.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm not denying the word. I'm just saying the way that so when people say smoke screening, or at least the UK players, we say that smoke screening is when you're actually just putting your entire side decking. You don't have anything to side deck, but you're pretending that you do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the difference then. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so smoke screening would be, I'm putting all my 15 cards in. Look at me, I've got my huge 55 card deck now because I've got all these side deck cards in. I'm going to take out all of the same cards again, and you're going to think that I've side decked a lot.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That sounds like a bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, very intricate bluff, but bluff nonetheless. Yeah. All right. In any way,
but if you do that in all your games, then you never know whether it's a bluff or not, right? So that's kind of how it's seen.
Vanity's Emptiness always reminds me of a mirror, the artwork a little bit.
Yeah, it's the Cloak of Vanity's Fiend, if I remember correctly.
Like mirror, mirror on the wall, who special summoned them all?
Not you, because I've got Emptiness on board.
Yeah, and then we see the opening end of Jake.
Yeah.
With a solemn 2 Kozmo ships.
Slip Rider,
yeah.
He's opened anti-spell, which is nice.
And Merlin also has a solemn warning. Summoner's Art.
Yeah, has he got any way to deal with that anti-spell?
Metalfoes Wall Flame.
Yeah.
So, not yet. And we can assume Jake is going first. They're just waiting for the volunteers. That's the Wicked Witch. 2 face downs. That's of course the ASF, the anti-spell fragrance. and he's also got a solemn warning. That's a pretty good opening in terms of lockdown power.
Yeah, that's if you were going first though. It would be good. Whereas actually,
You're talking
Merlin.
about, sorry, that's Merlin's hand. Yeah, no, I mean I
Oh,
mean,
Jacob's. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. Jacob's hand is fantastic. I mean, well,
Oh,
anti-spell fragrance is fantastic.
there we see the Jogen.
Yeah,
Two
which
copies of it indeed.
which isn't much use right now. That Slip Ride is going to slowly take away. This is the thing with anti-spell fragrance. You can just slowly take away all of your opponent's back row during during that period where the spell fragrance is locking down those spells.
Yeah.
But even now, Merlin still cannot.
Not all of the decks can do that, but Kozmo is perfectly
Yeah.
capable of doing that. So
There's
there's
a Jogen.
Jogen.
You can discard for the.
Yeah, the card has a couple of effects. It's not just that it's like the Vanity's Emptiness.
No, you can discard a card.
A random card, however.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I think it's the only card that does that actually, where the cost is to discard one random card from your hand.
but it did trigger a solemn warning. So apparently Jake was afraid enough to.
Yeah, let's not be having any of that.
Yeah.
But little does he know, he has another Jogen. Merlin has another Jogen sat in his hand here.
Yeah. So Jake bought himself another turn to unleash the full power of the Cosmo deck in a way, but
Yeah, let's see.
all he did in a way was just add another back row card, and there's the
another
second
Jogen.
one. And now you feel like
I think that could be the third one actually. I don't know. Actually,
no, it's just the app is a little bit behind. But yeah, it's just in this instance you feel like, oh, is he trolling me really?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters too much if
So, reroll. That's another reroll. There's a one.
which card is discarded. It's eccentric. Oh, he striked the Jogen. Okay.
Yeah.
The cost is to discard one card at random. So yeah, Merlin is
It's
still
even better than getting rid of the summon in the first place, of course.
Yeah.
For Jake, much
because
better.
he gets to discard the Archfiend eccentric.
And
teleport.
There's teleport, and
game.
that is game. Yes. Wow. Talk about a quick comeback. Jake Mallender tying the score, and it's
Wow.
1-1 between those two.
That was swift.
Yes, both of these games, in fact. And they're still in good spirits, of course. Merlin is now the big question, of course, is he going to leave the Jogen in? Most likely not. I guess it's one of those cards that you really want to have the element of surprise.
Well, he's probably going to choose to go first. So he would want to leave that in.
You want to leave it, okay.
And then that's the whole point of Jogen was to get it out there as soon as possible. But we always talk about when you're one game ahead, there's no reason not to take those risks. So Merlin riskily put in cards that might not have been necessarily good when he was going second, but if he would have, got that kind of lockdown off, then it could have been the end of the game.
Right. So big comeback for Jake. Did we see anything from his side deck really? We got Twin Twisters, Ghost
Spell
Frequency
Fragrance.
Series. Yeah.
Was the one card.
System down, Magic Deflector. System down for the mirror match, I guess.
Yeah.
Mask of Restrict doesn't really do anything here, and Raigeki also.
No, he'll probably just put in the anti spells, the Twin Twisters. What's that one? Oh, he's playing Winter Cherries. Nice.
Yep. So in a way, he doesn't really have a reason to do much more boarding.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting actually. Jake's playing Cyber End Dragon. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
If your Cyber Nova Dragon gets Solemn Warning, then that's basically the only play it's for. If your Cyber Nova Dragon gets destroyed somehow, then you can summon a Cyber Dragon monster. I can't remember exactly where, but Cyber End Dragon is one of the targets for it.
Yeah.
You can just summon it outright from your extra deck. So if they like strike your
they expect to not take any damage.
yeah, but
And
then
you're like,
suddenly here's my 4,000 attack Cyber End Dragon that does PS.
Ooh, that's a nice comeback.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
So who do you think is going to be the favorite going into the final and deciding duel? Merlin probably is going to go first.
Yeah, I think Merlin's in favor here just because he's got the kind of the first turn. If he's able to establish a field, then he's going to be able to win. If he manages to get a Jogen out.
Well, how do you like the importance of the first turn? I mean, there was a time when the first turn was very traditionally setting one card to each zone and passing play.
Yeah, the T-set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, recently, because I remember when the rule changed, it was it's a long time ago now,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, that the rule changed. But when it changed, people kind of started to question whether going first or second was better, obviously because of the change. But I think slowly but surely, people have started building decks in such a way where going first is good again. It kind of people started going second because you get to attack and you get an extra card.
I think that's one thing, but the other thing is there are so many more options to perform pendulum summons and things like
Yeah.
that
Which
on
that's what I'm
your
saying.
very first turn.
It's changed. It's evolved over time. When the
Yeah.
rule first came in, it was always better to go
But I
second.
think the rule makes a lot of sense
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
since so many decks are
Yeah.
so depending on that setup basically.
Yeah.
So you're getting punished for having the chance to set up first.
Yeah, I think it's all about that setup.
Do you think that if you were to start with 4 cards instead of 5, it's a bit of a wider question. Do you think you still would want to go first? Probably not, huh?
Oof. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's like a fundamental game change. That's not the kind of thing that I sit and think about. But yeah, I guess 4 cards. What could you do with 4 cards that you couldn't do with 5? I guess you'd have to play such a consistent deck if you wanted to go first with 4 cards. I don't think it would be worth it. I don't think it would be worth it.
But there's room for thinking about it. Like
Yeah.
it's not like 100%. It's more like yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No. I definitely wouldn't be able to outright say that it
Yeah.
would be better. I mean, it's one of those things where like, if you think about it when you deck build anyway, you think to yourself, I need to be able to run away with a hand on only 2 or 3 cards.
Yep.
But the extra cards are the things that extend that
Yep.
that kind of running away. So the example here. So Scout is that kind of card which is okay. This is going to extend one of my players.
Yeah.
Bunbuku goes and searches a card and potentially gets destroyed and rependulum summoned. That's another card that extends my plays.
Yeah.
And then
So
you look at
there are certainly certain decks that might really want to go first, even when they just had 4 cards in hand.
yeah
But it's a bit philosophical, I guess.
yeah
Less philosophical, of course, the opening here. Merlin with the Bunboku, as you just mentioned, and before that, the Scout.
It's,
How good is this opening?
well, Merlin's not got a lot going for him here. This Solemn Warning's kind of the big deal. But Jacob's got Twin Twisters, and I think it would be smart for him to Twin Twisters the Solemn Warning. Okay, so that's we've not seen that one yet actually. I think that's Adamantite. Adamant.
We're gonna have it up in just a second. This time, no technical difficulties. Adamant. Yeah.
Yeah, that means I can retrospectively be happy about getting Ori Calc or Ori. Hulk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Correct, earlier. Yeah, so Adamant is used for the fact that it's a level 5 monster. So it's the way that you use it with Ultimaya Tzolk'in, which Merlin is using. So we're going to see immediately he's going to make a huge play here. So his Infinity, his Kieran. Yeah.
It's bigger and bigger.
Just adding
yeah.
Infinity here was
And
kind of the big deal.
The fun thing is like when you blink and you bring up a card like the Adamant for a second, and you deal with the technology for a second. You don't look at the field. Suddenly you look at the field again. You're like, who? What did just happen?
Yeah.
And
So
of course, the correct question to ask is: did you just summon a bunch of monsters all in one turn? Isn't that against the rules? And then the answer is, of course, screw the rules. I got pendulum summons.
exactly. So he's going to be able to go and set another Metalfoes probably counter.
He's still not done.
No. No.
Yeah, but
counter or combination.
This looks like a fantastic opening. How good is it really?
Well, I mean,
On a scale from 1 to 10.
well, if I could target just that single area of Cyber Dragon, then that would be the 10, because Infinity is always tough to play around. So right now, he doesn't realize he's got to play around 3 things. He's got to play around Kieran, he's got to play around Infinity, and he's got to play around Warning. So he has to do 3 things that are going to make Merlin think, I'm going to lose if I don't negate this. Which is tough.
Upset Goblin is not one of those
That
cards.
is not one of those cards.
Yeah. There's your friendly neighborhood fortune teller can tell you that.
Yeah. There's very few times in which you would negate the activation of Upstart Goblin. I can think of a very specific situation in which you would want to negate Upstart Goblin. It involves Nurse Reficule.
Yeah. Dark Lord Reficule.
Yeah.
It's gonna be renamed in the future.
Yeah.
Dark Lord Nurse Reficule.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I saw that card. I'm like, I know that card. And
Yeah,
then,
Nurse Reficule.
Yeah, and then suddenly the name is different, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, so that's...
There's the warning.
Yeah.
One down,
Yeah.
two to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kieran is still there.
The weird thing for Jake is, however, the warning was the face down card.
Yeah.
So he knew.
But now he knows what he's playing with.
Yeah.
He knows what he's got now.
No more surprises now.
Yeah, so he's got to look at his hand and think, can I do this?
I don't want to be in his position right now. Like,
No, that's tough.
he's using Kozmo Town.
Yeah, hopefully gonna look for something that's gonna help him with this board here. Even if you ended up with, let's say, I don't know, Regeki or something that deals with Infinity, he's got to somehow get another summon out. I guess that Twin Twisters kind of helps. It stops him from. I think. I guess he's still on full life points, but he's not looking great.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
also I was about to say that the body language, the way that he's like shuffling, and you feel like he's looking at his hand, hoping for it to change in some way.
Yeah.
Then one or two cards magically turn into another card, and you can just tell, no, it's not going to happen.
If Infinity just wasn't there, then he would be able to make a play. But it's one of those situations where I want to pretend it's not. That he could. If Infinity wasn't there, then Kieran wouldn't be too much of a problem. He could play Twin Twisters, destroy his own Kozmo Town, go search for Dark Destroyer, call the Strawman back, and that kind of line of plays. But Infinity's there to disrupt it whenever necessary.
Right.
I don't think that Merlin would let Jake get away with playing all of those cards and not negating it with Infinity.
Speaking of Merlin letting Jake get away, is there any chance that he's gonna not win this game right now?
I don't think so.
Like it looks extremely one-sided.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna get more one-sided now, I guess.
Well, we're gonna see. I figured Jake would probably Twin Twisters now.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's the Twin Twisters. He's gonna. Yeah. So this is the line of players I was talking about. You have to. You have to do this, and then I think simply just Infinity's gonna negate this. Twin Twisters.
That's also like, yeah.
Even if it doesn't,
it looks a bit like Jake is praying right now.
Yeah.
With his hands in front of him like that.
Okay, so as I say, even if this doesn't get negated, and the Cosmotown search goes through, then he's gonna get to play Call of the Haunted. I can't think of a possible way that Jake could have played around this.
Yeah, no, it didn't look like it. He was heading down a one-way street.
Yeah.
He's just hit the end of the road.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't even know what Jake would search here, other than Dark Destroyer. You have to get Dark Destroyer and just hope.
Yeah.
It seems he's got Tinkan, however, so he might see some kind of line of plays here that I can't see. But I think that's enough damage on the field. Oh no, it's 2, 7, 47, 67. Yeah, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Or it might be 5.
Merlin is definitely going to town.
I can't remember Adamant's.
You play advances with the battle phase, and now we can see a gigantic swing. And for Jake, it's all about the calculation.
Yeah, I can't remember the attack
But
of Adamant.
not much.
Oh yeah, it's 25.
Not much calculation going on anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just too convincing an opening. What a field that Merlin has assembled on his very first turn. We thought we saw the same thing last round when in the very first turn.
Yeah.
It was indeed also the Metalfoes.
Yeah, Metalfoes. Yeah.
Assembled a big field with Yangsing and Metalfoes. But at the end, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Very different story right here with Merlin Schumacher winning 2-1 against Jake Mallender.
Yeah.
And let's move on with our post